So, tell me about cracking the conscious code. You are...
Hi, I'm Sandra Kurzakis, and I have something, I'm the facilitator and the vehicle for something called Shift into One. Shift stands for See How Isness Fuels Transformation, and One stands for Our Now Experience. And what this is, what you're speaking about, this is called Cracking the Consciousness Code. This is my manual. It's basically, it's a Cracking the Consciousness Code intensive, and I run a class. I run an 8-week class, and this is pretty much the manual to the class, and it's the living manual of understanding and applying the emotional and mental physics of the human experiment. So what I do with Shift into One is we talk about the nature of humanity and the nature of reality as far as the human experience and the human experiment goes. And what we're here today doing is we're actually at a very cool after party because we had the film premiere of The Resonance, which is all about where humanity is going, the next step in humanity's evolution.
And you were in it.
And I was in it. I was one of the speakers in it. And so what we were talking about, did you have a question?
Yeah, what were you talking about?
Okay, see, I read your mind. This is kind of what happens when you do this work.
You knew I was going to ask the question. I just felt it. There we go.
Yes, that's the thing. I did. I knew what you were going to answer the question. So the film was all about humanity. The film was all about where we're going and why it's so important to make certain decisions that we have to make now. There's a lot of talk in the film about extraterrestrial presence and the interdimensional work that a lot of the ETs are doing as they're coming here and working with many humans on the planet, and also just working, grounding the energy and sending us information through many, many things. There's a speaker there who talked, Patty Greer talked about crop circles. Michael Horn, who's a representative for the Billy Meyer contact, who was contacted by a race called the Plagarians for many, many years. And they basically are talking about where we're going and what they're here to tell us. And what I do, what my role was in this film, was to talk about what happens now. So now that we know ETs are here, and I think it's pretty common that they're here, so what do we do now? What does this mean? What next? So what? What do we do with this? And so this is what I talk about. I talk about the next step in human evolution, and that is...
You actually talked about like the fourth dimension and how to go to the fifth.
Correct.
And that was amazing because a lot of people are not even in the fourth. So let's elaborate on that because you spoke about that in the film, in last film.
Right. So humanity right now is being, we're in a transitional phase, and we are being forced now with all the things that are happening on the planet to make a decision. And it's basically about our energy and where we're choosing to go with our energy. So, for instance, people who buy into fear, people who buy into the concept of greed and power and separation and hierarchy and money and all things better or worse, those people are still living in what we call the fourth dimension, which is based on polarity, which is based on duality, which the primary vibration in fourth dimension is fear. And we are many people on the planet now, and this is a really cool thing, we're at such a unique time. Many people on the planet now are actually shifting out of that. There's a growing collective that are now saying, okay, you know what? I've experienced as much of this as I really want. It's no longer serving who I'm becoming. And I'm now moving to the next step in my journey, which is the next step in human evolution, which is moving beyond fourth dimension into what I call fifth dimension, or unity consciousness.
And what's the fifth dimension? What's it like to experience that, for example, in a day-to-day living?
So the fifth dimension, thank you for asking that question. The fifth dimension is where we move into our higher self. We actually merge into our higher self, and we actually tap into our multi-dimensional nature, our quantum nature. And in this dimension, it's a very cool space to be. So in fourth dimension, we learn through suffering. That's how we learn through who we are, through discovering who we're not. And when you move into this unity consciousness, fifth dimension, higher self realm of experience, of being, it is not governed by those properties or by those laws at all. It's not duality, there's no polarity, it's unity consciousness. And rather than suffering through learning, you basically, what we do in this journey from fifth dimension on, you expand through creation and create through expansion. So it's a totally different paradigm. It's one that goes beyond the mind. You cannot even try to figure it out in the mind because it's beyond where the mind exists, which is fourth dimension.
So are you more intuitive? Is there any time concept or space or parameters like that?
That's really cool. Thank you for asking that. In fifth dimension, there's actually no concept of time, no concept of space. Time and space are constructs that govern this reality. And they are part of the duality, separation-based reality that we live in here. When you move into unity consciousness and fifth dimension, there is no time, there is no space. You travel instantly, you manifest instantly, and the best part is there's no aging, there's no sickness, there's no illness, you're just complete, and you get to be more than one place at one time. You get to experience more of you and expressions of you at one time.
So take for example, I heard that like 10, 15 years ago, the manifesting process was quickening. So if someone were in the fifth dimension, would it be correct to say that, say you didn't manifest an idea that moment or that day, but you did the next day or within a week? Are you still in that fifth dimension, or?
You're actually still in fourth dimension, but what's happening is as we move, fourth dimension is very multi-layered. There's many levels, there's sub-levels within fourth dimension. At the lower level, it's more rudimentary, it's more crude, it's more service to self, and as you move mid to upper levels, you start to raise your vibration and time starts to take on different properties and different meanings in your life. So that's what you're speaking to, is as you start to, when you raise your vibration, time actually starts to speed up, and as you become more and more responsible with your energy, which means as you become responsible with your thoughts, words, feelings, and actions, you start to clear your karma. And as you clear your karma, you're actually clearing timelines. And as you clear more and more and more and more of that, you manifest things more quickly. So yes, to your point, if you started to clear more and more quickly, if you think of something, you can manifest it in a week's time, whereas before it might have taken 3 months, maybe 3 years, depending on how low in vibration you were vibrating at.
So give me an example of manifesting like now, that you're in the fifth dimension.
So
say I want to find something, or I want this.
So what's
a good example?
So what we can do here, what we're doing here is we're actually bringing the fifth dimension vibration to this fourth dimensional world. Before we actually move into fifth dimension, we're actually bringing that vibration here. So there's a bit of an overlap, but you still have to deal with the duality here. So it's not, you're either in the new vibration or you're here. And if you're here, you can bring the vibration here, but you still are bound by the laws that are governing this reality. So the way I work is I work with my higher self, and this is the nature of the next stage in the human experiment, which is merging with the higher self. So I never do anything without consulting with my higher self. As a matter of fact, I've given up all of my free will for divine will. And so what I do now is I let my higher self tell me. She does all my thinking for me. Every time I think, I suffer. I make mistakes, I suffer. So now I let her decide. She tells me, she shows me. That's how I get to show what to do. So things will manifest. I'll have ideas. If it's right, there comes the idea. I don't have to go searching. It shows up for me. And the reason it shows up for me is because I'm in alignment and I'm moving into my purpose and into my next level of existence, which is raising my vibration. So she'll show me and bang, 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 bang. And I actually had one time, okay, when I was putting together an event, and it was a sacred event. It was called Plume, and it stood for peace, love, unity, and me. And me meant Mother Earth. So it was about unifying with all elements on the planet. And when I started to get these ideas, things just started to bang, just synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity. And I was trying to find a place to have the event, and I wanted to have it in High Park in Toronto. But it's a huge park, and so I was looking all over and trying to find the right spot. And I eventually landed on the right spot. And what happened was, in that day, on that one day, I had so many things drop in front of me. So it was like, do this. As soon as that was done, the next thing showed up, did it. The next thing showed up. So I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to search for anything. So all that time was not, I never took that time. So it just dropped in front, but just wait till I'm not done yet. So then, at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, just like 7 o'clock at night, I'm on my way home, and I heard my higher self say to me, congratulations, you have lived 10 years in one day today.
So for example,
I collapsed 10 years time in one day.
So, for example, would it be right to say that if you're in this intuitive flow, that you're in that fifth dimension? Is that another way of saying it?
That unity consciousness, fifth dimension vibration here. So I'm manifesting, yes, that vibration here. I'm still very much in this duality, okay? But I'm bringing that vibration here, and that's necessary. In order to move into fifth dimension, you have to bring the vibration here. You have to prove yourself. Okay. And then what happens is, as you prove yourself, you eventually go, and before you know it, you're gone. You're already there, and you don't even know that it's happened.
Okay, so how do you crack the consciousness code?
Okay, so thank you. So shift into one is the actual emotional and mental physics of the human experiment. So this is based on 7 tenets. So just like gravity and breathing are constructs of the 3D realm, that's the physics. We have gravity here. We can't argue with this. The shift into one deals with the emotional and mental physics of the human experiment. So that's the physics of the 4th dimensional realm. And so what we're doing in shift into one is we're discussing that, and we're actually learning how to apply them into our everyday life, and that applying them is actually what changes us as we do this. And there's 7 tenets that govern the emotional mental physics of the human experiment, and these are the actual physics of 4D. It's like being at the round table of the beings that created the human experiment. That's what this is. And so when you start to apply these, and the beauty about this work, and it is work, let me make no mistake about that, it is work, but the beauty about this is once you open yourself up through the intention and you say, I'm ready, and you tell your higher self, you know what, I'm ready now to start to merge into my higher self and move into 5D. When you start to do that, just the intention alone will start to bring things to you. So we go through the tenets, we do all that work, but I say, you know what, now that you're doing it, you know the tenets, don't change a thing about your life. Just go do your life. Go to work, make a breakfast for your kids, whatever it is you do, watch it come to you. The work does you. You don't do the work does you. That's how powerful this work is. So when people say to me, well, what do I do? What do I do? You allow yourself to be done. It's through emotional release work, through awareness. It's a lot of energy work, a lot. It's the toughest thing. The only thing that's tougher than doing this work on this planet is not doing this work, because when you're called to do it, you have no choice.
So say if you make a choice you want to do it, how long is the process? You've got this manual here.
Yes.
Cracking the code. What's the process and what's involved in the process? Is it once a week, every day, so many weeks, so many months, and guaranteed bingo, you're become more into that, living that 5th dimension? Tell me about it.
Thank you.
You just wrote the book.
I did. Okay, so
I want to know more about it.
So this manual that I have is the actual course. So I've been doing the course now for since 2012, so almost 4 years now, and so it's been an 8-week program. And what I finally have done was, because it's getting out to more and more people now, I actually published a manual so that I can actually get it out to more people through just the reading of the book. Now, I do online courses and things like that. The book can stand alone. When you are ready for it, the book will shift you. It's vibrational reading. It's multidimensional reading. You may not understand everything in it, and if you don't, that's okay, because this book is designed to go through the mind, to the mind, around the mind, to get beyond the mind. It's to really play with your mind so that your mind says, I'm done. So you can get outside of your mind and start to do this work.
So if you don't mind, what was I going to say? What are some of the examples you would experience over that process?
So, okay, that's a great question. Okay, there's 7 tenets, and there is work in terms of exercises about becoming aware of your thoughts and your emotions. And as you start to do that, what you will notice is, in the beginning, it gets worse before it gets better. So things will start to come up for clearing more and more and more. So you'll have all kinds of issues coming up. Issues maybe with your spouse, with your kids, at work, but it's a different perspective now. And the reason they're coming up is for you to clear. So there's much emotional internal work that happens. So you will have a lot of that. You will likely become tired. You will likely want to sleep more. You will become aware of your negative thoughts. You'll become aware of your negative emotions. And when you start to do that, when you start to call awareness, there's this peace that comes over you. And in that awareness, there's this space. And in that space, you now have connected with higher self, even if it's for a nanosecond. So you start to feel greater and greater moments of peace, greater and greater moments of gratitude. And then as that happens, you start to raise your vibration. And you start to get other people in your life. Old people who are falling away, who are no longer part of who you're becoming, will fall away. After a year of doing this work, I took stock, just out of the blue. I took stock a year to the day later of who I was and where I was, and there was not a single person except my family, and my ex, who's still in my life. But other than that, there was not a single person that was in my life before that was in my life now. No family, no friends. The job had changed, everything. And the other thing that was really cool about it was, not only were they gone, I had attracted new people, but double. So many more people, and they reflected my new vibration. So this is what happens. You start to transition slowly. As you raise your vibration, things fall away, new things come in. Things have to be released, then you feel the relief, and then you have to feel the release again. You go through the release, and then you feel the relief. And the book, what the book helps to do, what the classes help to do, is actually give that support. But to your question earlier, once you read the book, and once you do the course, okay, which is an 8-week course, or reading the book, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Once we are awake, anybody who takes this course, anybody who gets to the level of SIO is pretty much in the last stages of their incarnate, of being human, in the human experiment. So the people who get to this level of awareness are moving beyond religion, beyond spirituality, into what I call consciousness. Big difference, big difference. So religion is basically man's interpretation of spirituality, and spirituality is man's interpretation of himself. Consciousness, which is where this work goes into, is understanding the true nature of reality and applying that understanding in the focused awareness that is you. That's the difference. And in that, you start to detach from your humanness. And you do that when you're in the last parts of the human experiment. So people who enter this work have it in their contract that they have the potential of this being their last incarnation, and moving beyond the 4th dimension into 5th dimension and making this their last incarnation. So that's part of what this work is all about. That's why it's so intense, by the way.
Well, it may be tense also because I'm going to ask you, and I remember what I was going to ask you. The question I just asked you earlier, I forgot, so I just got that question, and you haven't said, yeah, it's a good question. I still don't remember what it was, but anyway. But now I remember what it was. Okay. So when you wrote this book, would it be fair to say that you wrote this by being intuitively guided?
That's a great question.
There's a word for that.
It's not channeling.
It's not channeling.
It's not channeling.
So you must have written this in a certain way, because you said there's different ways of reading it.
So here's the interesting thing. This is not a channeling. This is who I am. This is what I am. This is all that I am. I have the awareness of who I am at all levels of awareness. That's what consciousness is all about. And this is my God source. So I'm accessing higher expressions of me, and I can access them like that when I need to, how I need to. So I'm aware of my matrix, and I'm aware of, I can glitch in and out different levels of reality whenever it is I need to do that, and be whatever it is I need to be in that moment. So if somebody asks me to repeat something, for instance, which happens a lot in class, they'll say, okay, I need to write that down. Can you repeat that? I can't say it again. I know round about what I said, but no two moments are alike. That's the quantum nature of this reality. No two moments are alike. So what I would do is, now I'm a different person. A moment later, you're a different person. So now I'm accessing that information, and I'll say it differently in whatever way is needed to be said in that particular moment. Yes, right. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not a channeling. To be clear, this is the new human. This is where we're going into the unity consciousness and ascending into our higher self status. This is about tapping in to the greater part of you as you, and bringing that here. So it's not channeling. This is who I am. This is not somebody else. This is who I am at any given moment.
Okay, let's talk about another channel. Your contact info.
Yes.
Where can we reach you? What channel?
Very funny. Sandra at shiftinto1.com. So shift, shiftintoone.com.
Do you have a website or Twitter, Facebook?
Shiftinto1.com. And you can just Facebook me on Sandra Krzakis. And I don't do Twitter. You know I need to do that.
Great.
I need to do that. Or telepathically.